think that both of our guests should have the opportunity to respond to the questions. I do think you should try to keep it brief though, okay?
Yes.
These three questions I've grouped together, so I'll read them as one. Teachers have proposed giving up their COLA for 2 years, but not their 2.5% to 3.5% time step increases, correct? Doesn't seem like enough pain sharing. Why should RB taxpayers be loyal to the teachers' union when the union does not encourage the teachers to experience what the private sector is experiencing financially? Raises, very low cost of health insurance, wage freezes, wage cuts just to keep your job. A way to actually gauge who is a good teacher and who isn't, and the underperforming teacher who still gets a raise. And last, all administrative jobs 10%, excuse me, I read that wrong. I'll start over. Number one, there's 3 parts to this question. Are administrative jobs 10% cut? Number 2, are teachers taking their cuts regardless of the referendum? And pay to play. Any activities offered at RB will cost the children who choose to participate. After all of the above, then raise my taxes. Otherwise, no. So I guess that was a statement. Okay.
I'd just like to make one comment. In District 95, I was on the board, and I don't know if Mr. LaBarbera or Mr. Schneider is in the audience. I was on the board with some fantastic people that set a model for a teacher contract that is tied to CPI. We also need to be strong about tenured teachers, and if they're not performing, we get rid of them. We see our neighbors to the north in Wisconsin. Financial reform is coming, and it's coming soon. Now, I apologize because some of this is over my head, so I will have to revert to the professionals. But I just know that as this build-up to education reform for the last 10 years has gotten to a place where we're at, the next big wave will be financial reform. It's going to be similar to what you may see in Wisconsin, and that's the next big wave to hit education. To any particular salary administration?
Dave.
On that?
First off, thanks for the history lesson. And hopefully, I was going to ask you a question, but is high integrity... First off, I came out of retirement to do this. And I live in the community, and I am dedicated to education in this community. The first thing I did when I walked in the door, before I even walked in the door, is I met with 3 different superintendents in comparable districts and got copies of their teacher contracts. And I can tell you, I've bargained contracts at least a dozen in my 30-plus years as superintendent. The settling point in most contracts is comparability and marketplace. And what I looked at in terms of RB is, are we in the marketplace, not leading, not tailing, but competitive so that we can hire great teachers? The answer to that is yes. Now, had I negotiated this contract in 2008, would it have been the same? Probably not. But it most likely would have have been similar. And so as we were working with Ms. Hennessy on costing out what our needs would be going forward, the difference in terms of the teacher concessions here amounted to about 2 cents of the 44-cent request. So this really is not totally, maybe somewhat, but not totally about the cost of salaries and benefits. And over the last 3 years, those have averaged less than 3% because we've made cutbacks in staff to have this budget be affordable. So, as I look forward, this is really about kids and opportunities for kids. And it's not going to go away. We cannot go back and correct the past, but we certainly can correct ourselves going forward. And that is my goal. It's been my goal in the 2 years that I have come and done what I call kind of a community service project here to install integrity, and that is not that the school was not a place of integrity, but to get some systems in place and to enable us to move forward in a positive sense in terms of the kinds of opportunities that we provide for kids. And so, relative to that, we can't go back and necessarily correct the past. We can certainly learn from the past and improve ourselves going forward, and that's been my goal in terms of the contribution there.
And I got to walk up to David Burnett. There is a public servant who showed up, and when he walked into the superintendent's office and wanted to see the procedures and the manuals and wanted to see the files, we've got a lovely Kamaric student here, wanted to see the procedures, the files, and all of the manuals. There were a couple of banker boxes with papers thrown in. That's what he faced the day that he took over, after all the problems that we had been through. And he's brought the school back from, I would say, collapse. And he gave the board the ballast in the bottom of the boat to abandon the superintendent search and to go find a great principal, which he succeeded in doing, finding Pam Bilesman at Instead. And if you want to see my elaborated praise of David Burnett, it's in all of the posts that I've made at the Landmark site or at the Riverside Info site. There's no one, I take a backseat to no one in my admiration for this gentleman. On the question, I'm going to tell you, we're not here because of the paperclip budget, my friends. We're not here because of the paperclip budget. This board, there are several members on the board now who are not there. There are 4 members on this board who are not running, who voted for a contract in the spring of 2008 they did not have the money to pay for. And it was a big contract. And it was cumulative, more than 30% raises across steps and layers. Now, that may be the same contract they're passing at OPRF. That may be the same contract they're passing at Lyme. Maybe the same one at Hinsdale Central. I don't know. I know that when our board was faced with penury and bankruptcy, they agreed to a contract they could not afford. And they got a payday loan, thanks to Elizabeth, to get them through with the $5 million. And then they came back, and instead of coming for 20 cents, they've come for 44 cents in the largest tax hike of our lives in this community. You may draw your own conclusions.
Okay, we're moving on.